Hey y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I am Susan, your hostess, and we're going into the kitchen today. We're going to be canning up some dry goods that I had in one of my cabinets in my kitchen that I want to get into my long-term storage pantry. And hopefully I have enough jars clean to finish this out. Let's get in the kitchen, y'all. Well, I pulled everything out of my cabinet that I need to do something with because I'm trying to clean out cabinets in my kitchen so I can store other things in there and get my food back into my pantry. I have one of these jars that we bought at a local thrift store that has the little sealed lid on it, and some homemade green tomato ketchup, y'all. This stuff is the bomb. My husband and I both like this. I don't know if this funnel is going to work with this bottle. It's not. Okay, so I had to pull out another funnel, but I'm going to pour this ketchup over into this funnel. We're going to get it down in the jar. It may take a moment or two, and it is the consistency of a good ketchup. The color is a little off. When you use the green tomatoes, you have more of an orangey colored or brown colored ketchup, but the flavor does not diminish any. So we're going to get that down in there. And I'm going to go ahead and get my spatula and try to scrape out as much of this good sauce as I possibly can so we can get it into that bottle. I figured I'd start with this, and then I'm going to move on to some dry goods that I need to get jarred up and get it into our pantry. And this would actually make a good barbecue sauce as well. I think I'm going to try a recipe out maybe sometime this year with some tomatoes, using the ketchup as a base, and then making a good barbecue sauce out of it. Alrighty. Pop the lid on there. Seal it and label my bottle. I'm just going to put a ketchup label right there on the bottle. And that's homemade ketchup, y'all. I know exactly what's in there, and it tastes so amazing. We're going to start with our lentils because I have 10 pounds of lentils that we received for free from a thrift store. And these are one ingredient lentils. Ingredients, lentils. You want to look for that on your labels because you do not want all the pesticides and all the other stuff in your products. So I pulled out some half-gallon jars that I have cleaned and made sure that they are good and dry, and we're just going to get these lentils put away for long-term storage. And I'm not sure how many bags will go into each jar, so we're just going to see, but that's 2 pounds of lentils so far. So a little less than 4 pounds per jar. So we're going to go ahead and get these jarred up. Let me grab something to tamp these jars down with. I'm going to use a dishcloth because I have a granite counter and I don't want to break my jars or hurt my counter. Alright, I did that so that I could get the last little bit of beans into my jars, or legumes, however you want to say it. Lentils are very, very healthy for you. They contain all kinds of good vitamins, vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium, and they're very full of fiber. It has a directions on here on how to cook them. If I wanted to, I could add a label to the outside of the jar telling me what's in it, how much I would use, and how much water, etc., and how much soaking time. So we've got those done up. Let me grab my bay leaves and we'll get these sealed up. Okay, I've pulled out some bay leaves. And I'm just going to add some bay leaves to the top of these jars. Really, all you need is 2 or 3. But I'm going to add in some because these are kind of on the small side. And you can take your vacuum sealer and seal these. I find that these do just as well like this. They will be used up in a short amount of time. But you can store these probably for 5 to 7 years like this, or you can put in the oxygen absorber and store them up to 25 years or better that way. And so I've got 3 half gallons of lentils ready to go into the pantry. I've also got some spaghetti that we bought a while back, and I really don't want to keep them in these paper cardboard boxes, so I'm going to get those done next. Let me just pull these out. We'll get to these other items towards the end. So I've got 5 boxes of that, or about, yeah, these are 1 pound boxes, so 5 pounds of spaghetti. I'm just going to grab my jar, open a box, and we're going to break these in half, or we can break them in thirds, however you like to have your spaghetti. If you want to put them in there the full length, you will be cutting it very, very close because, I mean, they're coming right up above the edge of the jar. So what I do is I just break them and drop them in. I think I got too many in my hand, so I'm going to just divide this in half. Make it a little easier on myself. And I'm losing some. So, I mean, you got to store it however you can store it the best. They do make jars for spaghetti, but they're not for long-term storage, so this is my easy way of doing it. And I'm going to get as many of them in a jar as I possibly can. It looks like I'm only going to get a little over 1 pound per jar. So I may have to hold off on doing some of this other stuff because I don't have any big jars to put it in right now. But we're just going to do what we can today, and then we'll move on and do the other items on another day. So I've chosen to divide it into thirds. Pasta is a product that is an indefinite shelf life if you store it properly. There's no moisture, and it will last indefinitely. So we're going to try to stuff a little bit more in this jar. So I've got 1 3/4 pounds of pasta in that jar. I probably could go a little bit more, but I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to finish out this package. And we're on our 3rd pound already. Okay, I could put an oxygen absorber in these, or I can use bay leaves. We eat spaghetti quite frequently. So I'm just going to drop some bay leaves down in here. Make sure you pull those out before you cook, unless you like the flavor of bay leaves. So I'm just going to stuff some in there. Close that up. And again, you could use your food saver and seal the lids on the top, or you could just add your tops. If you're using oxygen absorbers, you can just add your tops. You really don't have to vacuum seal. I got a piece of spaghetti there. Throw it in that jar. So I've got a case of my jars ready to go into my pantry. Now I have 2 jars left that are half gallon or approximately. I'm going to go ahead and see if I've got any quart jars available. If I do, I'll use the quart jars. So I've got this jar, and I'm just going to go ahead and put my coconut in here. We get the organic unsweetened coconut. This is the Walmart brand, and I'm just going to close my lid up, and that one is ready to go. I didn't put my labels on my lentils, and I didn't put my labels on my spaghetti, so I'm going to do that really quick. Just on the tops, I'm reusing my flats that have been canned previously for this. So it's alright to reuse them for stuff like this. Got those labeled, and then my unsweetened coconut. So we have done quite a bit so far. I've got almond bark left, I've got some yeast, I've got some bacon bits, and some egg noodles that I need to get into jars. These are those Bonnie Mammon jars that I've been collecting, and they work really good for small things. I'm going to go ahead and do my bacon bits up in one of these jars. They come with a little oxygen absorber in them. But I'm going to go ahead and add another one to that. Make sure that that jar is nice and sealed and all the oxygen is out, because that contains a meat product. Normally when you open those bags up, you put them in the refrigerator. Put this back in my jar. And I'm going to go ahead and seal that. And put my label on the top of the lid. Now I don't need this one. I think this is too much pasta to go in this little jar. Okay, I had a 1.5 pint jar in the house, so we're going to go ahead and get this pasta in the jar. These are wide egg noodles. And they fit in there perfectly. So we're going to go ahead and put some bay leaves on top of that. Put the lid on that. And my label. So I have instant yeast left, and I have almond bark left. Okay, this is a cake yeast, and I'm going to put it in my jar, but I am not going to put an oxygen absorber in there. I am going to put bay leaves in there. Because this is an active yeast, I do not want to take away from its properties by putting that oxygen absorber in the jar. And I'm using a 1.5-pint jar. I'm hoping it'll all fit in there. And I'm going to have to break the cake up. And I'm going to put some bay leaves on top. And I've got a plastic lid. I'm just going to seal that up and label it. Now I've got almond bark left. I've got 2 half-gallon size jars, but I know that's probably going to take more than what I have over here. Let me see if I can break it up and get it into the jars. So I'm just going to open this package up and see if I can break this up into the chunks and then get them into my jar. Not bad for a little bit of work in the afternoon. I've got 3 half-gallons of lentils done. I've got 3 jars of spaghetti ready to go. I've got some unsweet coconut. I've got some bacon bits that I can put back on my shelves because that oxygen absorber will seal that jar. I've got some more egg noodle pasta. I've got some yeast. I've got a half-gallon plus a half-pint jar with the chocolate almond bark, and then I have vanilla almond bark. And all of this is going into my pantry for long-term storage. And I am excited that I've got some pantry fillers here that I can fill in some gaps in my pantry with. Okay, so this is 3 1/2 gallon lentils. and 3 spaghetti noodles. I write it on the top and then I write it on the side as well. I've already put up some of my vegetables, and then I have just some odds and ends that I'm going to fill in some of the pantry shelves with, and we will be good. Thank you, folks, for watching, and may you be fully blessed.